What's up you guys, it's Styly Rocks, and in today's video I'm going to give you the ultimate guide on how to get into nursing school. And if you're a real one and you're like, girl, you look really similar to this other video, that's right, because I just filmed how to do this makeup look. It's called my Pretty in Pink makeup look, and go check it out if you haven't already. Also, throughout this video I'm going to be referring to my iPad because I took notes on here. This is going to be a very ultimate like hefty video on steps, so I just took my notes on here. So yeah, if I'm looking down, that's why. So a little bit background on me. I graduated from Pepperdine and I finished my undergrad there with a non-nursing degree, and the last 2 years I took gap years where I was working as a CNA and I was finishing my science prerequisites and applying to colleges for nursing programs. And now that that's out of the way, let's talk about how you can get into nursing school, because if I can do it, trust me girl or boy, you can too. The first thing that you need to do is educate yourself on the different nursing programs there are, and also figure out which one is right for you. Essentially, there are 5 entry-level nursing programs. There's the LVN, Licensed Vocational Nursing. There is the Associate Degree in Nursing, so ADN, which is what I'm going for. And there is BSN/ABSN, which is Bachelor of Science in Nursing or Accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and then entry level of Masters in Nursing. So there are 5 different programs, and it's important that you educate yourself on which one that you want to go to, because each program has very specific requirements for you to get in. So to narrow this down, I think that first you need to ask yourself, how much time do you realistically have to prepare to get into this program? Because if you are trying to get into an Accelerated Bachelor's in Nursing program like me, if you got your bachelor's in another degree and you want to do an accelerated track for your BSN, it's going to take some time to prepare for that, because you have to prepare for your tests, you have to prepare for, not prepare, but you have to get all of the specific science prerequisites, and more so than not, you might not get in the first time unless you have a stellar GPA, because you are going up against people who have been LVNs for 10 years, like EMTs for a couple years. And most schools, like the Cal States, are usually the ones that do ABSN programs in California, and they are very, very competitive. I know this because I applied right out of Pepperdine. I was very naive and I thought, you know what, I can do this, I can get in. So right after I graduated Pepperdine for Cal State Northridge, that's the one I applied to, they didn't require, I don't remember exactly because it was like 2 years ago, but I remember their requirements weren't that crazy. Like I didn't have to take a standardized test for it, so I was like, okay, I'll just apply. So I asked for my letters of recommendation, blah blah blah. I applied, I didn't get in, and they only accepted 30 people in the entire year. That's how many people that they took. So, you know, ask yourself, like, do you have the years or do you have the time to prepare and retake classes, or, you know, all of that? Or do you just want to start working right away? Like if you want to be an LVN, there are no prerequisites, I believe. I think you just need a high school diploma and you can go into the program. Normally it's about a year, like 12 months, 13-month program, and you can start working, and then maybe like after you start working you can do like a bridge program, because they have the LVN to RN programs too. So ask yourself, how much time do you want to commit to preparing to get into school? And second, ask yourself what your long-term goal in nursing is. If you want to become like a teacher for nursing, which is what I want to do, or if you want to be a family nurse practitioner, then you're going to eventually have to get your master's in nursing. So if that's your ultimate goal and you have some time to spare to get yourself to that goal, then start applying to entry level of masters in nursing, you know? So just ask yourself and figure out which program you want to apply to. That is the first step. Secondly, go to your counselor and outline all of the requirements that you need to get knocked out. So this includes your prerequisite classes, and most of the time science prerequisites are pretty, like, it is pretty standard for all programs. It's usually microbiology, anatomy, and physiology. So those usually won't change, but some programs will require you to take introduction to chemistry, or some programs will ask you for like a 5-unit chemistry course that also has inorganic or organic chemistry. Some programs will ask you to take medical terminology, dosage calculations, what is the other one? Pharmacology. Yeah, those classes. So you need to make sure that you know exactly what classes you need to take, and then plan out how many classes you're going to take each semester so that you can have everything ready. Some programs are really stickler about you need to finish your classes before you apply, and some programs will allow you, like if you're still in the class but the grades will be posted when they're considering the new applicants, and they'll like okay it. But like I said, every program is very different and very specific based on what they want. So it's important that you meet with your counselor and just outline it, make like an Excel sheet, and just figure it out and make sure that you manage your time wisely. Before we move on to the third step that you need to do to get into nursing school, since we're on the topic of science prereqs, I want to give just some helpful tips for anatomy, physiology, and microbiology that helped me study, because your science prerequisite GPA is very, very crucial, because a lot of the colleges and programs that you're going to apply to look at your science GPA very heavily. So first off, for anatomy, I struggled a lot with anatomy because it's pretty much just memorization, and I'm not the best at memorizing. But what I would recommend is take advantage of your TA, become friends with your TA, and just ask them like, can I meet with you to just go over all of the bones and the muscles? Can I just like practice saying it out loud? Especially for the lab portion of the course, it's really crucial that you just know it, you gotta memorize it. And I feel like when you just study on your own, it's hard for you to just memorize. So either, talk to your TA, and that's what I did. I asked the TA, like, I felt really bad because I felt like I was being super annoying, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. And I asked him, can you just help me test me on the different bones and muscles, and can you give me like any tips on how to like memorize it? And like he was really helpful, and he was like, oh, try doing it this way, use these mnemonics or whatever, So this is the TA, they're here to help the students. So become friends with them and try to ask them for help, and do your due diligence and just try to think of creative ways to memorize, because at the end of the day, that's what it is, it's memorization. For physiology, which was my favorite science prerequisite class, I actually ended up TAing for it after I took the class because I loved it so much. Physiology is more comprehensive, so if you don't understand like one chapter or whatever, like you're screwed. Like you can't just be like, oh, I forgot to memorize some terms, but like I feel like I'll be okay, like whatever. It's like each exam or each chapter or each chunk in the syllabus that you guys are going over, like the renal system, usually that's how it'll go. That depending on organ system, like the integumentary system, the digestive system, the renal system, like that. And so you have to know how the organ system works. It's not just, oh yeah, the kidneys are here and the nephrons are here and the, blah, blah, blah is there. It's more about, do you understand exactly what happens in that system? So for physiology, before each class, I would go on YouTube. I would wake up, like just 30 minutes earlier than I normally would when it was my physiology class. And I would look on the syllabus and figure out what system or what the chapter was. So for example, I don't know why I keep saying the renal system, but I guess I like peeing. But yeah, let's say if it was for the renal system, then I would find like a crash course, crash course, the handy dandy crash course YouTube channel. I would go there and then I would watch it. Maybe I'll double speed it if I'm running late. So it's like, how long are they? Maybe like 10 minutes. So if you double speed it, it's like 5 minutes. And at least then I'm less intimidated going into the class, because sometimes if you don't know anything and then you're just like listening to it, you're like, holy crud, what am I gonna do? I don't know what he's talking about. So it's just for you to just ease yourself in, hear the terms, whatever, just to go in a little bit more prepared. Then I asked my professor if I could record his lectures, and thankfully he was like chill with that. So he was like, yeah, that's fine. So I would record his lectures. Once I'm done with class, I would, while it's still fresh in the noggin, I would plug my earphones in, and then I would listen to it on double speed, and I would retake the notes again. Then I will listen to it again on double speed and retake the notes again. So it's just like getting yourself, being able to write it out. It forces you to like be able to understand what's going on, and it's more efficient because if you're doing double speed, then you're going through it twice. And my final tip for physiology is, before an exam, make sure that you're able to say it out loud. I know it sounds weird and you might look crazy talking to yourself, but just go in a room or like study with a friend and like take practice and like take turns being able to explain it. Like for example, if you guys are going over the digestive system, just practice and take turns being like, okay, let's talk through the different macromolecules and how they get, you know, broken down. Like carbohydrates get broken down first in your mouth, and then it goes down through your esophagus, and then it goes into your stomach, and blah 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 blah. Just be able to like talk it out, you know. And if you don't know it, then that means that you don't know it. Like you should be able to talk it out. If you don't, study. Like just keep at it. You just have to, just repetition, you know. And for microbiology, I honestly did not like that class. It was too much. But I feel like it was also comprehensive. Like you had to know the immune system and like your defense mechanisms for it, you know, like T cells, B cells, macrophages, dendritic cells, and how, you know, how everything works. But you also had to memorize all the viruses, and you know, it's a very comprehensive class, at least for mine, or like the one that I took. So for that, I don't remember if I recorded her classes. I think I did, and I did the same thing. I would re-listen to it over and over, and then I would take notes. And then I just religiously looked at her PowerPoints. Like she would send us the PowerPoints, which I was very grateful for, and I would just regurgitate it, say it out loud, be able to, like before the exam, be able to look at like the keyword or like the outline of the chapter and be able to like talk it out. If I didn't know, then, you know. Also ask questions in class. I asked a bunch of questions, and I feel like in every class everybody hates me, because actually I feel like everybody thinks that, like, oh, I feel like everybody hates me, but I feel like at the end of the day, doesn't everybody appreciate people who kind of slow down the class and like ask questions that people are scared to ask? I don't know, but you know, don't be afraid to ask questions, even if you feel like you sound stupid. I'm pretty sure like a couple people are thinking or like asking themselves the same thing, you know. So yeah. Thirdly, get certified as a CNA or an EMT or an EKG technician, whatever in the healthcare field. Just make sure to get certified, because a lot of programs will give you extra points if you worked like 1,000 hours as some healthcare professional, and usually they'll only count it if you are licensed. So if you were a medical assistant but you're not licensed, or if you were like a caregiver but you're not licensed, and you don't have like this certificate, because you have to send a copy of it or like scan a copy of it and submit it with your application. If you don't have that, then you might not get the points for it. So like if you're gonna work in the healthcare industry anyway, and if you're in a situation like me where I had to work to like, you know, pay bills and stuff like that, then just get a job in the healthcare profession or healthcare field, sorry, and make sure to get certified. Usually the classes, I did a 5-week course, and it was like Monday through Friday though, so like for those 5 weeks I wasn't able to work, but you know, it's worth it, because after that I got certified, and then I started working at a nursing home for about a year, and then I transitioned to a hospital where I got paid more. Yeah, so I really recommend working in the healthcare profession, getting licensed, so that you can get extra points on your application and you look very competitive, and it shows that you are serious about being in the healthcare field. And really, as a CNA, you get so much exposure because you work alongside LVNs if you're working in a nursing home, or you work alongside RNs, and like if you find really nice RNs, they'll also give you tips on like, you know, like how to get into school, and they'll also show you like exactly what they're doing, just to like, you know, because they know that you're gonna end up going to school anyway. So it's really good. Like it's nice to be able to be exposed to that while you're still getting paid. Fourthly, if this is only for people who are applying for accelerated bachelors of science in nursing, so if you are like me and you had your bachelor's already, and you wanted to do like a fast track program, so an ABSN is basically you get a bachelor's in nursing in 2 years instead of 4 years if you already have your bachelor's in another degree. So if that is you, make sure that you ask for letters of recommendation before you graduate with your bachelor's from your like capstone professors, or anybody that, I don't know, any supervisors on campus. So maybe you worked part-time at like student activities like I did. I worked at student activities, and I had to ask her for a letter of recommendation. So if you're applying to ABSN programs, most of the time they'll ask for 2 letters of recommendations. So it can be from like your professor or like somebody that you worked for, and it's it's, you know, not really courteous to whoever you're gonna ask. If you ask them like in the summertime and you're like, oh, I need it right now because I'm applying and like I really do need it, because they have to mail it to you and then you also have to mail it to the school. So just save yourself all of that, and ask them prior to graduating. Give them like a month and be like, you know, I'm planning to go to nursing school, so like, is it possible for you to, you know, send me a letter of recommendation? And some schools, they will have a specific like letter of recommendation form. So yeah, you like just be prepared and like send them that form, be like, can you fill this out and send it back to me? And yeah. Number 5, if you are like me and you graduated from a private university, then make sure that you have your unofficial transcripts printed out, scanned onto your computer. Make sure you have your course descriptions ready. Make sure you have that your syllabus is ready, because guess what? It is truly a terrible system, or a terrible situation for people who graduated from private universities and you're trying to go to a public school, because the articulations do not match. For community colleges, Cal States, UCs, they all, like public, they all match. So, you know, if you take microbiology here, then, you know, it'll translate. But with private schools, I don't know why you have to petition your courses. So not every program is like that, but usually they might say, like, especially for junior colleges, they will probably ask you like, oh, we need you to petition the courses. And the petition process, trust me, it's a long process. Or at least when I did it, I had to get the signature of every department head from the school that I was applying to, and get their signature and be like, yes, this course is approved to be is approved to serve as the same course that is at our school, basically. And in order to do that, you need to have your unofficial transcripts ready, you need to fill out the form, and you have to usually have your course description or your syllabus. So just have those ready so that it just makes your life easier. So before you graduate, just keep your syllabuses and keep your course descriptions, whatever, keep that, scan it, just have it ready. And number 6, your favorite, my favorite, everybody's favorite, standardized testing. Could you tell I'm being sarcastic? Because you should, because I hate standardized testing, but it is the reality of it. Almost every program will either ask for the HESI exam, the PACS exam, the TEAS exam. They will ask for you to take an exam. And my biggest tip is, it is expensive, and you might be like, oh, I don't want to spend any more money because I already have to pay for the exam myself and whatever the case may be. But just do yourself a favor and buy the practice exam that is offered by like the company itself. So if you're taking the TEAS company itself will have like practice exams, and they'll be like $60 or $70 or whatever, and it'll be like a legit exam it'll be like, I think it's like usually old exams, but it's a practice exam, but it's structured exactly the way that the actual exam is going to be. Not the same questions, but you know, similar. So just do yourself a favor and do that. I did not do that, so please don't be stupid like me, because I was like, I don't want to spend money, like I don't want to be like whatever, like I'm just gonna study the test booklet, whatever, and I should be fine. And I was just like really cocky, but I did not do well on the TEAS exam, and I played myself, okay? But I learned my lesson, and when I had to take the PACS exam, I did buy everything I could from that company. I bought like all of like the reading practice, the science practice, not the math, because I feel like I didn't really need help on math, but really I did. And I would find other third-party systems that had like practice exam. I just bought anything and everything, because anything can help, trust me. And I'm so glad that I bought the test exam or whatever from the company, because it really helped. And I scored in the 95th percentile for PACS exam. So, and I studied for maybe a month. Yeah, I only studied for 1 month, and I was working full-time during that time. So it's not really about studying harder, it's about studying smarter. And I'm telling you, just do yourself a favor and buy the practice test that each company offers for their exam. Woo! We are at the last one, number 7. Bust your calendar out and mark your calendars for every single nursing information session. Most often than not, every program will have an information session mandatory, meaning if you don't make it to the information session, then you cannot apply. So just do yourself a favor, a couple months before you know that the application season, or the application, what is the word? The application time frame is opening up. Keep checking the websites and look for the information session times. I don't know how it is now because of the pandemic, so if it's like through Zoom, so it's even easier to like be able to, you know, attend a meeting because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. But trust me, before, when I was doing it, I applied to 6 different schools. And that's also another tip I want to say. Make sure that you apply to as many schools as you can. Don't be stupid like me. The first like 2 or 3 semesters, I only applied to 1 school. Yeah, you heard me, 1 school. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but you know, so I learned my lesson, and finally the last semester I applied to 6 different schools and finally I got into school. So but like I was saying, make sure that you mark your calendars for the information session so that you can apply to that school. And when you go to the information session, make sure that you go with a notebook or a notepad or whatever, or like have your phone ready and just be like taking notes, because each program will have specific requirements. And I also was stupid and I made this mistake as well. I went to an information session and I didn't stay behind, or I didn't raise my hand to ask a question, and I just kind of assumed based on what the counselor was saying. And when it came down to the application, I heard back and they said, oh, we had to disqualify your application because this requirement doesn't meet it. And I was like, oh, I thought that the counselor said this. And they were like, no, that's not what we said, or whatever, and that's not what we meant by this. So just do yourself a favor and just double check, because that's so sad. Like, I went to the information session, I had to, you know, you have to pay to get your official transcripts. You have to pay to pay for gas to like drive out there. You have to, you know, ask work that you can't be there that day so you can go to the information session. Like, if you're gonna go through all that work, just do yourself a favor and ask the question so that you're not like me, where you just like mess one thing up and then your application is just like thrown in the trash, you know? I forgot to mention this, so I guess lastly, number 8, make sure that you have your official transcripts ready. So if you know that you are done, finished taking all your prerequisites or whatever, just order your official transcripts right away and just have them hard copy. Some programs will be like, you need to send them from the school from your school directly to them, but just have like 1 or 2 ready at bay, just in case. And it's also good for, like, some schools will require you to meet with a counselor beforehand and you have to have your official transcript. But if you like everybody knows, for official transcripts, once you rip it open, it's unofficial anymore. So you technically just have to have an official transcript ready for them to just view it. So, you know, just have that at hand. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this ultimate guide on how to get into nursing school. I am going to be doing my orientation next Friday through Zoom. I know, right? Crazy. It's so weird. If you are just feeling down and whatever, maybe you got rejected from schools, trust me, I know I got rejected from schools. It took me 2 years to, you know, get my points really good by working, getting certified as a CNA, taking those classes, doing well in those classes, doing well on my tests, making sure to apply to different schools, and getting all my like paperwork ready for each school. Like, it's a hard process, so don't be so hard on yourself. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you good health, good safety, and all the best of luck in your future. Bye.